Zanina's disappointment toward Eliza. That morning, Eva woke Zanina up so they could prepare for their morning visit to Aunt Louisa. They skipped breakfast as they were running late, and their mother kindly agreed to accompany them to Aunt Louisa's house, leaving them there until she returned to pick them up. The journey was pleasant, and the few passers-by they encountered smiled, enjoying the beautiful, sunny day. Upon arrival, they noticed that the garden was empty and worried that they might have come too early. "Aunt Louisa instructed me to bring you at 10 o'clock, their mother said. Eliza didn't specify the exact time, but we agreed on the morning hours for today, Zanina confirmed. Eva hesitated. Zanina, do you think we were foolish to come so early? We'll find out soon enough, Zanina replied, stepping down from the carriage and motioning for Eva to do the same. They bid farewell to Sarah and approached Aunt Louisa's house hesitantly. As they passed through the garden, they admired its beauty, but also felt regret for not having previously paid proper attention to its elegance and welcoming charm. At the front door, Zanina knocked twice, firmly. No response. They waited a moment until James finally opened it. That morning, he looked particularly refined and handsome. He greeted the young ladies with a polite kiss on their delicate hands and smiled a smile so warm that even the hardest of hearts would soften. Zanina was no longer angry with James, but she hadn't forgotten the gravity of the issue that had preoccupied them for so long. Summoning her courage, she asked, "Good morning. I suppose we arrived a little earlier than expected?" "Not at all, my ladies," James reassured them. "Come, Elizabeth is waiting for you in the sitting room." He escorted them inside before excusing himself. "Please excuse me for a moment." "Janina, Eva, I'm so glad you came," Eliza greeted them. "Have your delicate hands finally conquered all those endless chores, or did you pass them on to dear mother?" Eva, confused by Eliza's words and tone, found them rude. "Zanina, what is she talking about?" she whispered. Zanina ignored Eva's question and replied simply, "Everything was handled as it should be, Eliza." "But I still don't understand," Eva insisted. "I'll explain later," Zanina said sharply. As they moved closer to Eliza, she suddenly began philosophizing. "Parents and problems should never keep life's joys from entering our lives," she mused. "Was that meant for us?" Eva whispered again. "You ask too many questions, Eva," Zanina snapped. "If you hadn't come today, I would have never spoken to you again, Zanina," Eliza declared dramatically. Before Eva could comment, Zanina discreetly placed a hand over her sister's mouth and smiled at Eliza. Just then, James reappeared, catching Eliza's words. "Would you really commit such a dreadful crime, Eliza?" he teased. "Losing two loyal friends would be a grave mistake. True friends are quite rare these days." "James, will you ever stop teasing me? I'll scold you," she retorted, though her laughter was noticeably forced. This display of insincerity saddened Zanina as it revealed the false side of Eliza's character. More guests continued to arrive, though most chose to remain in the garden. Strangely, Aunt Louisa was nowhere to be seen, but her housekeeper, Emily, was present, attending to the guests' needs. As Emily served an assortment of dishes, sweets, and drinks, Eliza eagerly grabbed Eva's hand, urging her to meet her friends. Zanina, meanwhile, stood beside James, who seemed determined to keep her entertained with a rather dull topic politics. She suspected he felt guilty that her father's whereabouts remained unknown and had chosen this subject as a distraction. However, he soon realized his mistake. Discussing politics was not an ideal way to engage a young lady. Zanina watched James as he spoke, but barely listened. She had never been more bored in her life. Still, she wasn't about to leave his company without saying something irritating first. Seizing the moment as he paused, she remarked, "Your lady friends seem to do nothing but flirt and giggle over gossip at every gathering. Meanwhile, your gentleman friends seem to have a hobby of their own competing over who can collect the most romantic conquests." Instead of feeling uncomfortable, James smiled, his eyes gleaming mischievously. "You're absolutely right. You have no idea how long I've been waiting to hear someone say that. And to think, it's a young lady who finally speaks the truth. I couldn't be more delighted." Taking her words seriously, James glanced around, as if looking for proof to support her claim. His eyes landed on a striking young man with blonde hair and green eyes, effortlessly capturing the attention of all the young ladies present. "Zanina, do you see that gentleman over there?" he asked, pointing subtly. "The one who hasn't stopped flirting since he arrived? That's Fernando II, son of Lord Fernando I. The young Fernando has been spending his father's fortune ever since the day he was born." James chuckled at his own joke, but Zanina did not. Instead, she was left pondering how wealth among the young often came either from family inheritance or dishonest means rarely from hard work. Her thoughts were soon interrupted by Eliza and Eva's return. "Zanina, I'm having the most wonderful time today. This is the kind of life I want in the future," Eva declared. "All right, Eva dear, as you wish. But for now, stay close to me and be careful, all right?" "My sweet Zanina," Eliza interrupted. "You'll have to part with your little sister and dear James for a while. A good friend of mine, Fernando, has requested to speak with you, and it would be terribly rude to decline, wouldn't it? He's waiting for you." Zanina hesitated. "I suppose. I don't know." James interjected. "Zanina, we both know why he wants to talk to you. I suggest you don't go. He'll only hurt you just as he has hurt dozens before you." Instead of deterring her, James' interference only fueled her determination. Annoyed, she replied, "James, while I appreciate your concern, I believe my decisions are none of your business. I'm quite capable of making choices for myself. Now, if you'll excuse me." She hesitated for a brief moment, regretting her prideful reaction. She wanted to apologize, but suddenly recalled Eliza's words kindness and politeness do not survive in a cruel world. Letting that thought harden her resolve, she turned away and walked toward Fernando, who had been watching her intently. Eliza, watching with a pleased expression, whispered to Eva, "Fernando is a wonderful young man. We had such a lovely time together." Eva narrowed her eyes in suspicion. Had Eliza ever been secretly involved with Fernando? She studied Eliza carefully, sensing something was amiss. Noticing Eva's skepticism, Eliza quickly amended her statement. "I mean, he's very charming and sensitive. Zanina will be grateful to me." She leaned toward James and whispered, "She'll be grateful that I added her to Fernando's list of lovers." James was not at all pleased with what he was hearing from Eliza's mouth and rebelled against her injustice towards Zanina. He even considered doing anything to interrupt Fernando and Zanina's conversation. But just as he was about to move toward them, Eliza caught him by the hand and whispered cunningly, "Didn't she herself say that it's none of your concern?" James hesitated, realizing he had no right to interfere in Zanina's affairs. So he did nothing. When Zanina met Fernando, he kissed her hand and said, "I'm delighted to finally meet the enchanting Zanina." "Likewise," she replied. "How are you feeling today?" "Very well, thank you. And you?" "Now that I've seen you, I'm the happiest man on earth." Fernando had either forgotten or deliberately avoided addressing Zanina with the courtesy expected upon first introductions between a young man and a lady. This immediately gave her a poor impression of him, as she found it inexcusable for someone to disregard the codes of etiquette in front of a lady. She also didn't believe a word he said they felt empty to her. She didn't respond further, merely smiling without revealing her discomfort when she realized that Fernando had left a mix of wine and saliva on her hand. Disgusted, she wiped it on her dress. Without missing a beat, Fernando launched into a monologue about his studies, his favorite sports such as horseback riding and his numerous victories in competitions, as well as his success in his hobby, hunting. Lies and exaggerations were, of course, abundant, as were his compliments. Finally, he claimed that he was utterly astonished by Zanina's grace and had never seen such a beautiful young lady in his life. Throughout his speech, Zanina remained silent. Fernando interpreted her quietness differently and, emboldened, made a rather insulting suggestion. "My house isn't far from here. Would you like to go there so we can be alone?" At first, Zanina suspected nothing, so she answered in a normal tone. "Excuse me, but I must return to my company." "It won't take long," Fernando added. "In an hour, we'll be back." Then he continued, "Look, let's not pretend. Eliza confided in me about your little secret you like me, and I won't hide it. I like you too. In fact, she suggested it would be a good idea for me to invite you to my home so I could get to know you better. I'd appreciate it if you admitted your feelings for me right away, because I have more important matters to attend to." Zanina replayed Fernando's words in her mind, wondering if she had misunderstood him. But her instincts told her his manners were improper and his intentions deceitful. She gave him a response he hadn't expected at all, abandoning all formalities this time. "Perhaps you've mistaken me for some courtesan from your aristocratic society? Did you really think that after just one meeting? I don't even want to imagine it. You should be ashamed of yourself for even making such a suggestion, both you and your dear friend Eliza. The last thing I have to say is goodbye, and I sincerely hope we never meet again." Zanina was upset and wanted nothing more than to go home and never participate in such events again. However, she noticed that Eva was enjoying herself and didn't want to spoil her mood by forcing her to leave. She decided to wait for their mother to arrive, as she didn't want to involve James again.